Hey guys, and welcome to the STiKS EU. Now on MLG, I'm a little bit confused as to if we're live or not because we're having a little bit of technical issues. Hopefully you can see this, and hopefully we're not, talking to ourselves.
Face got goalie.
Weird. And as per usual, guys, we're here on MLG, first time, so this is going to be a little bit new.
Woo.
Everyone, exactly, woos going around everywhere. Guys, everything's still the same though. Still got me, still got Tommy, and this time we've got a guest. It's the first time being on the show. Why don't you go and introduce yourself?
Hello everyone, my name's Shay, also known as Quicker Than You, and I play for Team Infused. I'm a YouTuber and a competitive player. There you go.
Exactly, and to be fair, you're probably one of the only few competitive players, at least in the UK, what actually grind out YouTube, and we're going to be talking about that later on, because to be fair, you haven't really been consistent with the content lately. I know you've been a little bit busy.
Trust me.
So what's that mean? Does that mean we're going to see that coming back soon? Because I know ages ago you used to grind it out.
On Black Ops 2, when I first started on YouTube, that was my main focus, but towards the end of Black Ops 2, I really wanted to try and take the leap into competitive, which is what I chose to do. And ever since then, YouTube's kind of been on the back burner, and I've just been really focusing on the competitive grind. But hopefully, going into Black Ops 3, I'll be able to pub stomp again, and hopefully just stay at the top of the EU scene as well. So that's the plan for now.
So let's actually talk about that, because it's kind of an interesting tale as how you went from being quite a large YouTuber, at least especially in Black Ops 2, and then at the start of Ghost you decided with a couple more YouTubers to kind of form this competitive team. So how did that kind of compromise, and how did you kind of all agree, let's get into competitive? How did that just happen?
I think it was just mainly the connection I had with Benny and Mike at the time.
Right.
We were all quite big into pub stomping. And at that time, there was Gfinity came around. They hosted their first event, Gfinity 1, which was actually the first event I actually spectated. And then Benny and Mike went to Gfinity 2, and they kind of came up with this idea to get some pub stars together and just attend an EGL event, which we actually did towards the end of October in London. And it was supposed to be QwiKeR, Benny Central, and Somulus and iTemp, but iTemp pulled out, so that left a spot for me. And I really don't know where I'd be if that spot didn't open up, because, I wanted to attend LAN, but I just couldn't find a team.
Yep.
And so we just stuck out together, and we could progress as a team.
What were kind of your expectations coming into it? Because obviously, if you're coming from like the YouTube side, were you going into it kind of as, oh, let's have a bit of fun, let's just go to some LANs and
100%.
Yeah,
that was basically it.
And it just evolved into something, and now obviously you've been on many competitive pro teams. So did you ever expect to have this outcome of actually, going to LANs time after time and actually placing well, rather than just going more for the fun of it, just competing for, I play COD and I'm a personality within the scene?
So at the start, it was a lot to do with the fun factor, because we all looked at it, we all saw like the fun in it, and the competitiveness wasn't really there. Like, I've always been a competitive person, and that's where I started off with YouTube. I wanted to be like the best pub star, and so going into competitive, it was the same thing for me, but everyone else was kind of just taking it kind of lightheartedly, and we just wanted to have fun with it and see what it went. So I think on Ghosts, we actually managed to get to regionals, which was a massive achievement for the four of us, and like, we never thought at any point when we started off that we'd actually get to that stage. And obviously we didn't manage to get to COD Champs, but we showed a lot of progression. So we picked up Shane, and we became the Lightning Pandas.
Oh, we I don't think we can't do a stream with you without talking about the Lightning Pandas. It's just, everyone loves them. I mean, when are they coming back is the question.
I really don't know, bro. I can't say. I can't, bro.
If we were to get a petition going, how many people would you need to sign it to bring back the Lightning Pandas?
Oh, that is a big ask.
Because there is a lot of people, including Paddy, who is in the stream right now, that want you to bring it back.
We were actually talking about it, me, Benny, at Gfinity Masters, just like a turning up to event, like me. I don't know if it would be Shane involved. It would kind of have to be, but he's in America doing his thing, and
just bring him back.
Yeah, like,
there's more important things than
if you need other members, then you can you can talk to me, you can talk to Tommy, and I think we'll be free.
No, even like an online cup where we could live stream it and just kind of bring it back would be a lot of fun. I think it would go down well as well on the scene. So I don't know. Like, there's no saying no, and at the same time, you can't really say it's going to happen as well. So.
What was it actually like teaming with Shane? Because it was the first time you actually teamed with a pro player who, you know, has been in the community for, I think, 2-3 years before that. So what was it actually like having his wisdom and kind of him as like the overlooker of the other 3 players on the team, kind of like telling him where to go? Was that a good experience? Or was it a little bit of a scary experience?
I really enjoyed it. Like, I learned a lot from Shane as a player. He taught me a lot just about my own game that I didn't realise.
Yep.
Like, I saw flaws in my game, but not to the extent that he saw them. And he really like brought them to light and just showed me how I could better my game.
Did you learn a lot from him?
Yeah, absolutely.
I presume you did, because obviously.
Yeah.
I honestly thought it was like a big step, obviously, because as Rage rightfully said, you were all basically YouTubers, you know, wanting to kind of, you know, go to LANs and stuff and compete competitively.
Oh.
And then all of a sudden, Shane's on the roster. And I think that was kind of the moment for me where I was like, hang on a minute, this team must be credible if Shane's joining the roster.
Yeah.
Like, no disrespect to you guys.
It was a massive step getting Shane on the team. We knew that everyone would learn from him, and we would just.
Were you surprised?
Continue. Yeah, 100%. Like, I saw Shane on Epsilon, and he was like, you always look up to the best players, and he was one of those players. So when the opportunity to came about to actually team with him, I was literally blown away. I was just like, is this happening? I couldn't believe it, to be honest. And then obviously it was a massive learning curve for us, and we just continued to improve and improve.
You've always kind of got this reputation now as being the player who's came from YouTube, and obviously there's always a little bit of negative connotation around these pub stompers, as in like they're not actually really that good. And then obviously, sorry,
you're gonna make him rage, but you can't
like,
suggest yet.
You put it over to competitive, and you're playing at a high level. Obviously, you're sitting there in your infused jersey, so it kind of says that you're at a high level now. How much time and dedication does it really take to put into it, especially when you first got into competitive? How much days and how much hours did you really have to grind it out until you actually got to the level where you could actually take a map, never less win, just take a map?
I think I started off before even with TYT.
Yeah.
I was playing with a Lithuanian guy, 2 English people that were just friends that I knew through pub stomping, and we played against TCM at the time, and it was Marky, Rich, Monksy, and it was Josh that was filling in, and we actually managed to go last map against that team in like an EGL Fun Cup, and that was really the start for me. I was like, if I can go last map against these, and these are coming second to Gfinity 1, then there's no reason why I can't really, you know, take the leap and try and match them. So that was it for me, to be honest.
And now, of course, you're sitting there in your infused jersey. Why don't you go talk about your current team and kind of talk about who's on that team and how that kind of roster kind of formed together to be what it is now?
Sure. So around champs time this year, it was me, Dom, Reedy looking for one. So I'd played with a lot of pickup teams, and one player that really stood out for me was Melon.
Yeah.
And I wanted to try and make that a solid roster for champs. And obviously champs passed. Me and Melon were looking for 2. Dom and Reedy joined Jake and Marky. So me and John were looking for 2, and we decided that it would be in our best interest to pick up Reese and Lewis. We actually attended Gfinity Open and we came 3rd. We lost to Aware, who were the highest placing team at COD Champs from Europe, and Epsilon, who actually won the event. So that was like again one of those moments where I just thought, you know, I can really go somewhere with this. That was the placement that I was really striving for like the whole time, and you know that was another moment where I just thought, you know, this is it. I can really do something with this. So
you're saying like the Gfinity Open was kind of like an eye opener where you realised that you finished 3rd and you like you finished 3rd, and the 2nd and 1st team was like very, very good teams.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, I can kind of agree with you as to why that would be a little bit of a motivator and a little bit of an eye opener. Talking about eye openers and talking about the stage where you are now, we're actually going to talk about later on about DreamHack, what you've just come from. But first, we're actually going to go and take a small little ad break. So while you're there, go stock up on your tea and all that rich things, and we'll see you on the other side of this 90 seconds ad break. See you in a bit. Bye. Hey guys, and welcome back to the STiKS EU. I hope you've all got your coffee. We can see the
We've
see the
lost
Lightning
QwiKeR.
Pandas jerseys.
Lightning Pandas, woo!
There you go, guys. There's the intel you need. Lightning Pandas are apparently coming back.
Lightning
Confirmed by
Pandas are
QwiKeR.
back!
Don't say that. Everyone's going to be like, oh my God, they're coming back.
But yeah, before we get into it, guys, as per usual, you know, the stream couldn't be here possible. As you can see on the overlay by Scuff and by G Fuel. So why don't you go check them out? Use the code STiKS for a nice little bit of discount on both of them. You know, it's always nice to save you pennies every now and again. So make sure you use those codes. And yeah, Tommy, I believe you want to talk about DreamHack.
Well, I'm sure QwiKeR can give us a better insight from actually being at the event. But yes, DreamHack was this weekend. It was, if you don't know what's going on, there's going to be basically, I think it's the Nordic Championship. And this weekend was the Swedish Championship. And obviously, QwiKeR, you were attending the event. I think that if I'm not mistaken, the event format itself was similar to what we saw at ESWC.
Yep.
And ultimately, QwiKeR did end up winning with Barrage Esports. What's very confusing because we just said he's on Infused. So it's a bit here, there, and everywhere. But obviously, QwiKeR was actually competing with 3 Swedish teammates at the event. Barrage ended up winning it with QwiKeR himself. Team Orbit came second. And then there was, you know, a number of teams that I didn't really know, but they seemed to impress me, it's fair to say. QwiKeR, what was your overall kind of expectations going into the event? Did you expect to just win it hands off, or
Right. So I'm gonna start from like 2 weeks ago. So I get a DM from Casper or Kappa saying we need a player for the Swedish Championship. So straight away I was interested. You know, like traveling is something that I really enjoy doing. Going to Sweden to play COD was like quite a big deal for me. So I couldn't say no. And then the Open qualifier was the first time we played. So first map we played, I dropped 47 kills and we lost the map, and then we ended up going last map. So I was quite concerned at that point about the team and the quality of the team. So going into the event, we played 2 more nights further, and I wasn't too sure how we were actually going to do. Going into the event, I wasn't too confident, but you've always got to be quietly confident. Just being a competitor, like you've got to have the mindset that you can go on and win the event. And when we got to the event, I was pleasantly surprised at how we're playing. You know, we were winning most maps. In the group stage, we only lost 2 maps, and it was CTF Biolab and Terrace S&D, which are 2 of the least consistent maps on the game. So, you know, I was quite happy with how we were doing. And then played against a team called Barbarena. That was in the semi-final in the DreamHack Studios. Really comfortable game. And then going into the final, playing against the favourites to win the event. And, you know, we actually managed to take out Orbit, beating them 3-1 in the final, which was a shock once more for me because it was my first grand final. Didn't expect it to be that easy. Well, not easy, but...
Don't say that. That's the wrong word.
No.
That's the wrong word.
That wasn't the wrong word, but yeah, it was quite comfortable.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
Awesome stuff. I mean, as I said at the start, were you expecting to win it or at least get to the grand finals? I mean, obviously, this team, had you scrimmed at all with them? Had you practiced? I mean, what was the language barrier like? Because obviously these players being Swedish, was the language barrier a bit difficult? What was it kind of like going into it and actually playing with them?
So we played, after the Open qualifier, we played 3 series to qualify for the championship, and then aside from that, we probably got like 2 nights of practice in. And it was probably like 2 hours a night, so in total we probably got like 5-6 hours game time together.
And then you just end up winning the tournament.
Nothing, to be honest. So, I wasn't expecting to win the tournament. I thought Orbit, you know, they're an experienced bunch of players and they've played at the top for a number of years now. So, I knew that it was going to be tough. I thought we were going to get to the grand final. You've always got to think you're going to get to the grand final, but I wasn't sure how we were going to get on.
I believe the venue was actually held in like the DreamHack Studios, what was in Sweden.
Uh-huh.
What was that actually like? Because the pictures coming from the event looked insane. Wasn't it like sponsored by Monster or something as well?
Yeah,
what was that?
Sponsored by Monster.
What was that like going from the Norbrecht Castle to the Gfinity Arena to the DreamHack Studios? What was that like?
The DreamHack Studios were spectacular, to be honest. You know, it was just a great place to be, just looking around, taking it all in.
Yep.
You know, when you start off like playing it, you know, like the Norbrecht Castle, and then you end up playing like the Monster Studios and the Gfinity Arena. It's all a bit mad, and you know, it was a great time playing in the studios. DreamHack, you know, put on a really great show. And shout out to Brycey Rice. What, Brycey Rice?
Brycey Rice.
Bryce
Who's
Graham
Rice?
and Momo for putting on a great show with the casting and the
I
hosting
thought
of
I
it.
thought the production was tier 1. I
Yeah.
thought it was absolutely amazing to watch
I
at
agree.
home, especially for kind of, not the biggest event. I think one thing that we need to also mention is the fact that it was on Twitch and not on MWG like we would expect. I don't know if you have any insight on that, because obviously we expect most Call of Duty events to be on MWG because of the partnerships that MWG have with the likes of UMG, Gfinity, and so on and so forth. It didn't get the greatest viewership, but what was your, I don't know if you got to see too much of kind of, well, you probably did because you're behind the scenes, but from your eyes, what was the production value like at DreamHack?
Yeah, it was really good from what I saw. Obviously, I was sitting there playing, but I could see the screens and I could see what was going on. One of the things that I noticed, it was a bit of a weird one, but it was just having Bryce and them standing up and presenting the
Yeah,
show
I've seen that.
as opposed to sitting down. It was a lot more good to entertaining to watch, and it was just a lot more engaging. It was a bit strange to bring it up, but it was something I noticed.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
obviously traditionally they sit down.
Yeah, it was weird. It was something I noticed. It was, I don't know, a bit strange.
Because from what I've seen, I didn't really get to watch too much of the stream. I watched a lot of the VODs, but it's like, it looked as if they was doing analysis standing up, and then when it actually went to casting, it would be sitting down, watch kind of the more traditional format. But talking about traditions and stuff, you went to Sweden. I believe you was the only non-Swedish player there. What was that kind of like, being this sort of like unknown entity to a certain extent? Was kind of people looking at you thinking, who's this English guy? Who's he thinking? Scottish.
Oh,
Who's he thinking?
you did not just say English.
Oh no, what have I done? Carry on, just answer the question.
Just leave.
No, it was, I don't know, like I didn't know what to expect. When I got there, everyone was really friendly. People seemed quite interested in what I was there for, and I got quite a decent reception from all the Swedish supporters on Twitter and stuff. So yeah, it was quite good.
I still can't.
Okay, Rage, just be quiet for a second. Obviously, congratulations to QwiKeR for winning the Swedish DreamHack Championships, or whatever it was called. There was also another event on at the weekend that I'm briefly going to talk about. It was SFCO that was happening over in France. I saw a lot of comments on Twitter. I didn't get to watch too much of the event. A lot of people were saying it wasn't the greatest event run, but it was still an event, and there was prize pool on the line. And ultimately, Hypergames ended up taking home €2,000 with Supremacy, a bit of a kind of surprise placing there, coming in second, and then followed by Millennium and EQ. So that was the other event that took place this weekend, if you guys didn't know about it. But we're actually going to go into something a little bit different. Now, traditionally, we would do questions from Twitter, but for this episode or this show, we're actually going to do some questions from Reddit. The Reddit questions and Reddit comments in general seem to be a little bit more entertaining, and something that we kind of wanted to do. So some of these are going to be a bit quick fire because we've got quite a lot of them to get through, but we'll try and get through them as soon as possible. So we're going to kick things off with a question from MaxB124. And he basically says, could any of the other players on the original TYT make it as far as you have?
Not a fan of this question, just because I don't want to put anyone under the bus. But to be honest, I put in a stupid amount of time to Call of Duty when I started competitive, and it's hard to say. I think if they did, there's a chance they could have got to where I am now. So can't really say no, can't really say yeah. It was just down to the effort.
Right.
Do you want me to just fire through them?
No, we'll ask him if you
we'll
just
ask him.
If you just want to. We actually need a segment of the show. It's not just going to become a quicker new show. Although, to be fair, after my last performance, it's probably best as it was.
He's gone.
I'm going to say something stupid. But next question is coming from someone who you know, someone who a lot of people know, JT, teammate of yours. What's it like playing with a top EU player such as JT? Who is open bracket, who is obviously much better than you, close bracket.
He's not much better than me. Come on now, Jack.
Oh.
Come on now, Jack. But seriously, it's a great time teaming with Jack. He's a really cool guy, great player. What more can I say? Love you, Jack, mate.
Okay, next question is coming in from a mod on the COD competitive Reddit. I don't know how you pronounce this, but it's Eve or something like that. But he's basically saying he wants us to ask you why you are not on the COD competitive Reddit, because they would love you there.
Don't know, mate. Can't answer it, but I'll be on after the show, that's for sure.
Well, obviously, it must be because you're so busy grinding out COD and then grinding out YouTube. That's it, see. Don't worry, I've got you covered here. Next question is coming from Convictions with a 7 because he's cool. I need to know if you could join any North American team, what team would it be and who would he replace with? Must choose. Basically just saying you have Doug sent some other thumbs. Otherwise, so make sure you choose.
I don't know if I have to be realistic here or I don't know.
Well, answer it twice. Any team in the world probably going to be Optic, and then obviously be a little bit realistic.
Right. I'm gonna say Scump, Optic Gaming, and then if I have to be
I love how you say Scump before the organisation.
I don't know. That was just it went through my head, right? So to be realistic, I'm gonna say Apathy on FaZe Black. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, next question is coming in from Matt Rob Smith 93, who basically asked, we've touched on this a bit on this show. He basically says, how much time is are you dedicating to practicing with Barrage, and how does it how do you see yourself performing in the Nordic Championship?
So the Nordic Championship is 10 days away, and I've obviously got priorities with Team Infused. As long as they don't clash, I'll put in as much time as I can with Barrage. And going into the Nordic Championships, with the practice, I'm sure we can dominate the event, if I'm being honest. I think the main competition is GefKid's team, which is GefKid, ID, Mimus, and fucking... can't remember the other one, but...
Language.
Yep, I can't remember the other one, but I'd say they're probably our best competition, and they had close games with Orbit at regionals. So I'm sure that if we practice a decent amount, we can beat them comfortably.
Right. The penultimate question, so using fancy words, is from Optic Fam, who surprisingly isn't going to be asking about Optic. It's a little bit of a misleading name, but he's asking the question, and I think that already answered it. But it's, will the Lightning Pandas then make a return? Is that a yes? I'm taking that as a yes, to be fair.
I'm just going to say yeah.
Wow, there we go. Lightning Pandas return confirmed.
Everyone's going to literally, next week, if this doesn't happen, everyone's going to be in the chat saying, well, you said that they were returning. And we're like, well, we can't control it. Okay, last question is coming in from Neri. Basically says, tail behind your gamer tag. Go.
So I was 10. No, I wasn't 10. I was like 12, 13. I was massively into athletics and running, and I just used to say to people, "I'm quicker than you." And then I got into QwiKscoping, and then that's where it kind of stemmed from, because I used to be like, "I'm quicker at QwiKscoping than you." That was pretty much it, and I just went with it. I was probably like 13 years old, and I was playing World at War at the time. So that's that.
Right, okay, fair enough. The last question is coming in from, in fact, actually, I want to change this up. I want Tommy and myself will kind of answer this as well, because it's quite an interesting question. There's been a lot of videos around it, but tail behind the gamer tag coming in from Neri, I think. Neri. I'm guessing.
So I've just answered this question.
Oh, yeah, I answered that question. I did, I know, I heard it because it was quicker than you because everyone else, but I wanted to say, Tommy, how did you get your gamer tag? It's a little bit self-explanatory. Tommy Underscore Esports, go. Explain it, go.
I'm leaving.
Go.
I'm leaving.
Go.
I'm not saving you. I'm not saving you.
Save me.
Your career is gone. What?
No, right, okay. So guys, as per usual, at the end of the show,
I apologise, stream. He will not be here next week. Don't worry.
I'm taking your job, Alex, mate.
I heard it, but I was
QwiKeR, I'm signing you up.
I was thinking, I was like, do we talk about my gamer tag or not? And I was like, no.
What?
As per usual, a lot of things going through my head. None of it's relevant at the time. But yeah, we're going to, as per usual, at the end of the show, we kind of let everyone have like a 30-second to a minute talk to close off the show. Any shout-outs you want to make, any thank yous, so on and so forth. So, QwiKeR, we'll start with you first, then we'll go with Tommy. And then if we get there, I'll do my close of the show.
Right, so I want to say a shout out to Team Infused for continuing to support our team, me, Lewis, JT and Melon. I want to say a shout out to the Swedish boys, Casper, Solid and Burnsy. And I want to say a shout out to Barrage for sending us to that event last weekend. And I also want to say a shout out to the fam.
pretty consistent.
Nice, sweet, and short. QwiKeR, thank you for coming on. It's been a bit of a short show. You have to realize that QwiKeR is in the Gfinity Cup today, so we had to kind of cut it a bit short because obviously it starts round 6. He gets a bit of leeway, but we don't want to obviously affect your practicing. So massive thank you for coming on.
Shout out to Tommy and Rage for letting me come on the STiKS EU.
You're more than welcome, pal, anytime. I just hit 1,000 subscribers, so thank you to anyone that has subscribed to me recently.
Congrats, bro.
Oh, thank you.
You got?
I remember what I felt when I had
Hey, Rage, how many are you on?
Patronizing.
Rage.
I'm on like 250.
Thank you. So be quiet. My time.
Nah, when you're at 1,000, man, it's a good feeling.
It is. I can imagine.
Thank you. I'm in 4 digits now. Thank you. Yeah, that's all I had to say. We'll see you next week with another show. I don't know if Rage will be here. That's kind of up for debate, but we'll see you next week with another show.
Yeah, guys, thank you for having me. Thank you for actually watching this long and not just like close down the screen. I mean, if you made it this far, then you deserve a round of applause. As
all
usual,
66 viewers.
And yeah, we'll see you next time in the next show. Make sure you use all the codes down below, and we'll see you in a bit. Bye.
Thank you all. Goodbye.